I think it's really significant because we hear all kinds of political discourses about the Arab world, the Middle East. We hear about the wars and the Islamism and the sectarianism and the international intervention and the proxy wars and so on, but we hear very little actual human stories, what's actually happening to people on the ground. And I think, therefore, we in the West don't have really the material that we need to understand what's happening on a human level, why people have been revolting against their regimes, why in some countries it's all collapsed in a horrible way, what's the background to this, what's going on in people's heads, we don't really know. So I think we need a lot more of this kind of stuff.
Do you feel that a festival like this is actually changing perceptions then?
I would hope so. It's very hard to know. I mean, it's a cultural battle. I fear that this kind of thing is drowned out by the stereotypical images of, you know, people with guns and beards and so on, by the big news events. But we hope, and we keep going. There is a, as well as all the chaos and nastiness in the Arab world at the moment, there is also a bottom-up cultural revolution, and I think that inevitably will become more and more visible as time goes on. I think the Arabs themselves will demand to be heard. They are demanding to be heard, and I think eventually they will be heard much more than they are now. So yeah, thanks to the BBC for doing this. It's a great thing, and I hope it does get some notice.
So what does it mean though? But do you think there is much of a London audience or reception from Londoners for something like this?
I think there should be a huge London audience for this kind of thing, because firstly, because we have lots of communities in London from all over the world, and we've got lots of Arab communities, we've got lots of people who are maybe for religious or political reasons, or just because of their personal interest, people want to know what's going on in the world. So somebody may be of a pure English background, but they want to understand this turmoil that's happening not very far away on the southern and eastern Mediterranean. So I think there is an audience. I think we've got quite a sophisticated cultural audience in London, and I hope it gets bigger and bigger for this kind of thing in particular.
Can you move the mic down slightly?
Yes.
Casting a shadow over your face. Okay, that's perfect. Do you think that holding events like this in London, which is exposing these filmmakers to newer audiences, will impact the way they make films in the future?
That's very hard to know. I hope not. You know, some people suggested about some Iranian films, some aspects of the Iranian cinema, that after the Iranian cinema got a lot of international recognition, some people suggested that there were directors making films primarily with the Cannes Film Festival in mind, the foreign audience in mind, rather than people in Iran. I don't know enough about it to comment whether that's true or not, but I don't think that is going to happen with the Arab cinema, because there are so many urgent social issues. And I think that Arab directors or Middle Eastern directors of all kinds of backgrounds at the moment want to address their people. They want to take part in very real debates which are happening in those countries. So I think inevitably the cinema from the Middle East will develop and change and diversify. I don't think that process is going to be governed by the reception of these films abroad. I think it's going to be governed by realities inside those countries.
And what message do you want people to take away from this festival?
As I said, I think it would be great if people could understand that the Middle East is made up of human beings, complicated human beings, self-contradictory human beings. All kinds of ideas are bubbling up, all kinds of strange events are happening, and it's impossible to reduce or simplify this without losing the reality of the story. That's what the media does in general. It reduces and simplifies, perhaps necessarily, and in some ways not at all necessarily. I think that cultural artifacts like this can communicate the human reality, and that's what everybody should be engaging with. I mean, I think we could all forget our grand narratives of what's happening in the world and just engage with human beings and cultural products from this part of the world and learn a lot more lessons.
So, is there anything you'd else like to add that I haven't asked about?
Well, I could say that in Syria, you know, there's so much going on culturally. Again, this is a story that isn't being told. So as well as the films that we're going to see this afternoon, We've got free newspapers, we've got free radio stations. These are being set up even in places which are being starved and bombed every day. So despite the horror of the Assad regime and the horror of ISIS and the extremist jihadist groups and so on, in the middle of that, there are still people doing their best in awful circumstances to express themselves, to develop culture, to develop ideas. And that's one hopeful thing in this big mess.